Can we please take a live look at the Broncos QB play for the last 3 years? Yeah, that one gif of Conor McGregor sums up what the last 3 seasons of quarterback and offensive play have felt like in Denver. You know it's a bad day in Colorado when the punter on the opposing team makes a more impressive catch than any of your receivers. That's Johnny Hecker, Broncos tight end in 2019. You heard it here first. Welcome to That's Good Sports. I'm Brandon Perna, and it is officially Swag Kelly time here in Denver, Colorado. Eastern Standard Time, Central Time, Pacific Time. Here in the Rockies, it's fucking swag time. Wait, what?
Dick, the reason you saw Chad Kelly in for the Broncos at the end of that first half is because Case Keenum was being evaluated for a concussion. The good news for Denver fans, he passed protocol, he's fine.
How the fuck is that good news for Broncos fans? The most exciting thing to happen this season was seeing Chad Kelly come onto that field and kneel like the second coming of Colin Kaepernick. What's good about watching Keenum overthrow his receivers 9 times a game? You, ma'am, may I politely say, don't know what the fuck you are talking about. Yes. I don't want to see Case Keenum get hurt. That's not what I'm saying. I'm glad he didn't get a concussion, but he should have just left Chad Kelly in the game. The Rams defeat the Broncos 23-20 in a game that was only really close on the scoreboard. Intro. Check it, this episode is sponsored by SeatGeek. SeatGeek. Download the app with my link in the description and use my promo code That'sGood, and SeatGeek's gonna give you $20 off your first ticket purchase. I use SeatGeek to buy my tickets for things, and you can go to a lot of things. Football games, basketball games, hockey games, any sort of sports games. You got concerts. What SeatGeek does is it scours the internet, all of the interwebs for the best ticket prices, and puts them in one convenient place on their app for you to search. They have a ranking system. Green on your ticket price means it's a good ticket price. Red on your ticket price means you're getting ripped off. So if you're thinking about going to a Broncos game, even though they keep losing, use SeatGeek. Again, the promo code That's Good will save you money when you do it, and there's a link in the description for your convenience. Look, I get that the Broncos aren't very good. I've been as hard on them as anyone, but not knowing which team or sport you're calling is a huge problem, in my opinion, if you're an NFL announcer.
Says the undefeated Rams take on the Denver Nuggets coming.
If the Nuggets played the Rams, no wonder they lost. If that's the case, then hell of a game to the Nuggets. Hell of a game. Shit, Coach Malone? Coach of the year, and just because the Nuggets can't beat the Rams doesn't mean they won't crush the Lakers this year. Now, I do have to say, when I learned Chad Kelly was not going to play in the second fucking half, it felt worse than when my mother told me Santa Claus wasn't real when I was 7, and she told me that on the same day that my dad died. Sorry, son, Daddy was also Santa, so don't expect any presents this year, you little shit. And I had more hope on that day than when I learned Chad Kelly would not be playing in the second half of this game. Now, Todd Gurley, Rams running back, surpassed his previous single-game rushing record of 156 yards by like 52 yards. The Denver Broncos, the team you want to play when you want to set rushing records. Corey Dillon, LaDainian Tomlinson, Belial Powell, Isaiah Crowell, and now Todd Gurley. The Denver Broncos, the only team in the NFL you want to play if you want at least one interception. Case Keenum, the only quarterback in the league with at least one pick in every game of this season. Josh Allen has had 2 no-pick games. And I'm not even sure Josh Allen is a real quarterback. The one thing, next to quantum mechanics, that I will never understand is how this is considered a pass in the NFL. This should be a fumble, not an incomplete pass. If you disagree, you probably think NBA players should shoot free throws granny style. Now, the Rams took a 6-3 lead in the first quarter. A lot of defense in the first quarter, but the Broncos should have had a 7-6 lead at the end of the first. On this Emmanuel Sanders touchdown, that was properly ruled down at the 1. But in addition to being down on the 1-yard line, Sanders was flagged for taunting after the play. The two stupidest things in the NFL, beer prices and taunting penalties. Besides the run defense giving up 200 rush yards in back-to-back weeks, or the Bears giving up 380 passing yards to Brock Osweiler today, nothing is more shameful than flagging a guy for pointing. PowerPoint. If that's a crime, all Americans should be in prison. I can't live in a country where it's okay to point at the people you want to die for your country, but not the people who just got owned on the football field. And that is why I refuse to vote Republican, or Democrat, or at all. The only thing I vote on is the Pro Bowl. Don't vote, kids. Not now. Todd Gurley, plus a great offensive line, plus Sean McVay calling the plays is why the Rams are so hard to stop offensively. This quick snap and give to Todd Gurley was a great play call. The Rams, man, they just got all the right moves. And you do need to give the Denver defense some credit because Jared Goff did not have a good game. 201 passing yards and an interception. The secondary did give up their handful of big plays, as we've grown accustomed to. A handful were Bradley Roby getting burned, but the team finished with 5 sacks. That's an impressive defensive stat. So why did the Broncos lose this game? Todd Gurley rushed for 208 fucking yards. That's back-to-back weeks the Broncos gave up 200 plus rushing yards to a running back. The offense can't score touchdowns on a regular basis. Case Keenum refuses to give his receivers a chance to catch passes in the back of the end zone. And holding penalties when the offense is driving. They kill 1 or 2 scoring drives every game. Bulls and then Max Garcia, who is in for Connor McGovern for no fucking reason at all, gave up back-to-back holding penalties, taking the Broncos out of touchdown range, out of field goal range. They were basically in 3rd down and Spear Boulevard. But going into halftime, the Broncos were only down 13-3. This entire game, they always technically were in the game, even though it never really felt like they were going to win. Halftime report. Now, this sucks that Ron Leary got hurt, but when he was injured, did you see Ron Leary transfer bodies right after the injury in the 3rd quarter? I told you, I do not understand quantum mechanics, but tell me, this isn't Ron Leary right here, and then, boom, Ron Leary in the stands. Ron Leary in pain, boom, Ron Leary in the stands. Ron Leary in pain, quantum transfer, Ron Leary in the stands. And I just proved to the world that the quantum transfer principle is possible. Now, you know your team is screwed when Mark Schlereth has to say a scramble by Case Keenum for a 1st down might just be the spark your offense needs to get going. That play was the spark. Schlereth was almost right. Keenum did fire a deep ball down to Demaryius Thomas to get the Broncos out of a terrible position. That's a spark you need to treat with care. Blow some air on some tinder to create a flame that nobody can put out, instead of pissing on it with an interception 3 plays later. Every spark the Broncos get is followed by a mistake. And Tremaine Brock did give the Broncos a chance here. His finger just tip wiggled that ball, bouncing it off the face mask and into Darian Stewart's hands. Nice play by Brock and Stewart, but it wasn't enough. Case Keenum followed that pick with a 22-yard touchdown strike to Emmanuel Sanders, who reached out for the score, and get this, did not taunt anyone afterwards. So Denver cuts its lead 20-10. Maybe we have some hope. And more importantly, Emmanuel Sanders learned that in a game so dangerous, you could die playing it or become paralyzed. The NFL never, ever wants to see you point a finger after beating a guy. Which seems like a great time to see all 5 of the beautifully meaningless Broncos sacks. Happy birthday, Jared Goff, you son of a bitch. I hope you liked your sacks that were given to you for presents. No, you can't return those sacks, Jared Goff, because we didn't save the receipts. Happy fucking birthday, Jared. Bradley Chubb had 3 sacks on the day. Who would have imagined that all you would need is a Chubb to try and beat Goff? I mean, I could beat Goff without a Chubb, but that's because I'm mentally stronger than everyone in the NFL. Thinking yourself to completion, a real life skill. The Broncos were so close to beating Goff on his birthday, but then their religious leader, Vance Joseph, shamed them and told them beating Goff is bad. And you will go to hell. You will spend eternity in a fiery hell next to Satan as his fluffer if you continue beating Goff today. So they fucking stopped. That third Chubb sack led to a missed field goal by the Rams. Would that be important? No, because the Broncos fucking lost, remember? That's how this whole episode started. It was, however, enough to set up another Case Keenum deep ball, this time to Courtland Sutton. The formula, the proof, if you will, for beating Goff is right there. A big Chubb and going balls deep. Aided by a Rams penalty, the Broncos found themselves in the red zone. Unfamiliar territory for Denver this year, as they are both bad at getting into the red zone and scoring in the red zone. At least they are consistent, you know? They have consistency. Very good. That set up a gooch splitter by Brandon McManus. The Rams then kicked a field goal after Todd Gurley went over his 200 precious yards on some bullshit precious 29-yard run. The Denver offense was aided by a face mask penalty on Emmanuel Sanders. Penalties really helped get the Broncos into the red zone today. And a pass interference penalty on Courtland Sutton put the Broncos on the goal line, which led to a beautiful Demaryius Thomas touchdown. That is some real toe drag swag. Which will not make it into Good Morning Football because Nate Burleson fell asleep before this game ended. Denver loses 4 in a row, but made the game look competitive with a final 23-20 score against a very good Rams team. Happy birthday, Jared Goff. In conclusion, I think Case Keenum throws the least impressive 300-yard games that I see in the NFL right now. I know this game looked close on the scoreboard, and I want to put a positive spin on it. But in addition to beating themselves, the only reason the Broncos were really able to move the ball at the end of the game were because of Rams penalties. Other NFL teams who are successful, like the Rams, do the little things well. Like finding a punter who is a 10-time paper, rock, scissors champion. It's the little things, Broncos. Fix those little things and then fix the big gaping holes like coaching, quarterbacking, left tackling, run defense, pass defense, and you are a Super Bowl contender. The Broncos fix just those things. Success is right there for the taking. Thanks for watching another episode of That's Getting Tired of Talking About Losing Sports. I'm on Twitter at Brandon Perna, Instagram at Brandon Perna. I hope the Broncos can get a win on Thursday Night Football. That would be just delightful. Maybe that would put me in a delightful mood for 1 week. Been a month drought.